Hi everyone, these are your video notes for day 5 of Distance Learning and assignment number 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. When the expression on each side of the comparison mat are equal, they can be represented on a mat called an equation mat, and this is an equation mat right here. Let me go ahead and circle that. This is an equation mat, and now the equal sign symbol on the central line indicates that the expressions on each side of the mat are equal. So you're going to see this equal sign in the middle, and sometimes they don't even have that equal sign. They'll just have these double black lines in the center to represent the equal. Okay. Now, it's super important that you think of these as double yellow lines, like on the road where you can't just cross whenever you want. You're gonna have to follow legal moves in order for you to cross through those double lines in the center. Okay, so keep that in mind. And as I go through this, I'm going to go over all of the legal moves and I'm going to go ahead and put them down on steps, which is right here, and make sure that you understand every step. And if there's a question about any of those steps, please feel free to ask your math teacher, either myself or Miss Fu, and make sure that you understand each of those legal moves because we no longer have those legal moves in your classroom. So I'm going to try to make a little virtual poster for you guys so you guys can keep track of it, but I need you guys to make sure that you guys are following the legal moves even at home. Okay, on your paper record the original equation represented on the equation mat. So it says to build it first. I forgot to read that. Build the equation represented by equation mat at right, or use the 6-50 student e-tool. So I'm going to go ahead and use that just to save us some time. So there it is. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up next to my Notability. And you can do the same when you're working at home. You can go ahead and hold down the Safari button, slide it over, and then it'll split the screen for you. If you close that off, you have a little more space, and even if you move it this way, you can see more of the mat, okay? So I'm gonna move it to the right a little bit just so that I can fill out what the blanks are asking me for, so that way you guys can keep track of what we're supposed to be understanding here. Okay, so it says on your paper, record the original equation represented on your equation mat. So it looks like I have 3x's. Okay, so I have 3x's that are positive and 2 1s and 1 negative 1 unit. And that equal sign goes right where it belongs after I had written out everything on the left side of the mat. And then on the right side is 1 positive x and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positive 1s and 1 negative 1 minus 1. Okay, so it says the next bullet point says simplify the tiles on the mat as much as possible. Record what is on the mat after each legal move as you simplify each expression. So that's where the steps come in. Okay, I'm going to record every legal move under the steps so you guys can see what you're supposed to be doing after every part of our movements. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write down the original equation first. Okay, so the given equation is right here, 3x plus 2 minus 1. And this double line in the center is equal sign. It's equivalent to an equal sign, so I'm going to put the equal sign right over it and then put x plus 6 minus 1 for the right side of the mat. Okay, so this is the original equation. So I'm going to put 1 original equation, which is what we used to call the given equation. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and slide this over so we can start making zeros. Okay, that is the first legal move that you can make. Make 0 pairs. So I'm going to go ahead and make 0 pairs right there. That's 1 0 pair on the left. And I'm left with 3x and a 1. So I'm going to go back here. I can make a 0 pair right there. And I can get 1 left over, 1 positive, with 3 x's that are still positive. Equals. Slide it over. And then on the right, if you see it right here, I don't think I can grab those in a group, but I got it. So 1x and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, I counted wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and show that step right here. That's where I made the zeros, 6 and the 1, and positive 6 and 1 negative. I'm left with 1x and 5 1s. So that first step was make 0 pairs, which I believe almost everybody is very comfortable with making 0 pairs at this point. Okay. Now this is where the new part comes in. You guys have been struggling with it last week, so we're going to try to slow it down a little bit and actually explain a little more about what you're supposed to be doing at this point. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the algebra tiles. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm going to go ahead and mark what we made zeros with on our drawing as well, so that way we can keep track of what we've done. Okay, now sliding it over a little more. You see how there is 3 x's that are on the left side and 1 x on the right? Well, what we want to do is make sure that all of the x's are on the same side and all of the 1 units are on the same side. So what we have to do is we have to start making those guys move across the equal sign. The only way that you can make things move across the equal sign is if you bring in the same amount, like matching identical pairs, into the picture for both sides at the same time. And you can make the other ones appear on the other side in opposite. So this is what I mean. Okay. So if I wanted to move this x right here on the right, I just changed it as -1x just so that you guys can see what I'm referring to. So if I want to move that x to the right side, I need to bring in, to the left side, I need to bring in another x, but if I bring in another x, that becomes 2x, and now I have more of the x. I don't want it to be at 2x. I want it to be 0. So if I want to bring in a 0 pair to make with x right here, I need to bring in an opposite to make 0 pairs for that right side. If I bring in 1 negative x to the right, I have to bring in the same amount on the left. So whatever I bring in to make 0 on one side, it's the same amount that is brought in on the opposite side. Okay, so that way we're bringing in matching pairs to get rid of one side's amount of x. So I can get rid of these now. Now, are there any x's on the right? There's none. And on the left, I was able to make zeros on the left with these two x's left over. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and write down what I have, and then I'll explain what the step is called. So I'm gonna bring in a new color right here. I brought in one negative x on the right, so I have to bring in negative x on the left. Okay, so this third step is called, let's see, bring in opposites opposite to make 0 pair on right side. Okay, and this time it was only for the x, so I'm going to put an x there so that way we can remember what we brought it in for. And now I'm left with 2x, like you see it right here on the right. Okay, 2x plus 1 equals no more x's on the right side, but I have 5 ones left. Okay, and change the color for the next step. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to the mat. Oops, I'm going to go ahead and draw it in. What I brought in 1 negative x on the right side, just so that I can get rid of all the x's on the right side, and brought in another negative x on the left side to make sure it's balanced. I need to bring in identical things. If I bring in one side, I have to give it to the other side so that way they stay balanced. Okay, so that's what I did in my next step. And now I'm left with 2x and 1. And here it is, 2x and 1. Okay, and then I have 5 ones on the right. So now that I have all the x's on the left side and no x's on the right side, I have to move this 1 unit. To get rid of this 1 unit, I need to bring in its opposite to make a 0 with it. So the only opposite I can bring in is -1. So if I have a -1 and a +1, they make an amazing 0 pair again. So if I bring in a -1 there, I have to bring in a -1 to the right. Okay, so here's the -1 in the right side, making these two a negative 0 pair. Okay, so I'm going to pull those off. And now I'm left with 2x and 4 ones. Okay, so let's go ahead and write that in. So I brought in one negative on the left and then another negative on the right. So I'm going to say bring in, same thing. Oops, that's break. Bring in opposites to make 0 pair on left side. And this time it was for the 1 unit. Okay, so that way this becomes a 0 on the left, and I'm left with 2x equals 4. And the last legal move, which I have done before in our class, is to take this x and divide them equally for both sides. So if I were to split, let me move this over a little more. If I were to split this group of 4 ones into 2 equal groups for these x's, one for you, one for you, one for you, one for you, I have 2 equaling for every one x. Can you see that? Okay, so the answer is going to be just that. So if I bring in, here we go, 1 negative, they're gone. 1 negative, they're gone. And I'm left with 2 x's and 1, 2, 3, 4 ones. So I'm dividing both sides by 2 and leaving me with x equals 2. Okay, so divide both sides by 2. Okay, so what value of x will make the expression equal? X equals 2. And the way we can check is by replacing each of these x's with value of 2. If we assign it a value of 2, let's see if it makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to erase these marks and then just rewrite them with 2 so we can add it all up and see how many we have exactly. Okay, so here we go. So if I have 2 here, 4, 6, this makes up 6, right? And then another 2 makes up an 8, and then take away 1 makes 7. Okay, let's see if the right side equals to 7. If this is 2, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, minus 1 gives me 7. And that's the only value that will make this equation that we have here true. So that's what this means. X equals 2. Okay. And I hope that makes sense. If it didn't make sense for any of it, this is the kind of question that you should be asking Miss Fu and myself on either in an appointment or by email or by meeting us at our open office hours. So that way we can address which part we need to help you understand. If you understand up to like making 0 pairs, tell us that so that way we can help you better and then say, all right, so from that point, this is what you do. So that way we can unlock that stuckness and that confusion right where you need it. So you need to make sure that you watch this again and make sure that you understand which part you need help with, okay? Equation Mat can help you visually represent equation with algebra tiles. It can also help you find the solution to an equation. For example, the equation 2 groups of x minus 3 plus x plus 4 equals 9 minus 2x plus 1 plus x can be represented as shown on the first equation map below. So here's the 2 groups of x minus 3 and then x plus 4 and 9 ones with 2 negative x's and 1 positive 1 and 1 positive x. Okay. First step was to simplify each side by removing zeros. Once they did that, they made it look a little simpler, and then they add balanced sets to each side to remove zeros. That's bringing in opposites to make zeros. That's the same thing as what I just discussed in the first problem, okay? And then once we do that, we can see that all the x's are on the left and all the ones are on the right. And then you're going to divide to find the value of x by dividing by how many x's we have for the number of ones that we have. So if we divide both sides by 4, we get x equals 3. Okay, so hopefully that math notes also helps. If you need extra help, please make sure that you reach out to us so that way we can help you better while you're at home working on these. Okay, so the assignment consists of only 5 problems, and hopefully you'll be able to make sense of it. If not, I'm going to go ahead and help you as much as possible if you meet me at office hour. I'll go ahead and work out one problem from the homework so that way you guys can understand how to do the homework at your homes. Okay. This is the assignment number 3 for you to do on your own as independent practice at home. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 problems here. I think there should be 5. Oh, 5 and 6. So I'm going to work out the very first one that's in black and white so that way you guys can understand what to do for the rest of the problems. Okay, so all of these have little pictures that I created for you guys so that way you guys can see what the tiles are supposed to look like, and you can absolutely build them on your own by using the algebra tiles like I did during the examples. If you want a blank one, this is how you get it. If you go into any of your ebook texts and click on tools, it'll pop open 3 options. If you click on the tiles, it'll open up a blank tile, and you just have to bring up a background that's equation mat 1. Okay, and then switch the background and close the background so you can open up the algebra tiles and build the same picture that you have on the left here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on the very first problem here. Okay, so first I put a blank so that way I can talk to you guys about what to write for that part and what you understand is what's written already there. Okay, so this is what we have. That's 3 x's and 3 1s. So that's 3x plus 3. Equal sign is in the middle. Okay, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 times 4 is 12, so I have 12 ones. Okay, so that's all I have on the right side. In order for me to move all of these ones to this side, we can't just simply move them. We have to bring in matching opposites to both sides to make sure these end up being gone, and on the right side we have these moved over. Okay, so let me say that again. Okay, let me explain it maybe in a different way. Instead of thinking that we're moving it over, we need to make these zeros. These 3 become zeros, so that way we no longer have these ones on the left side. To do that, we're going to bring in 1, 2, 3 negatives. If I bring in 3 negatives on the left, I have to bring in 3 negatives on the right, just because we want to keep it balanced for the equal sign. Okay, so if I do that, I can make zeros with those. I can make another set of zeros on the right, and I'm left with 9 ones on the right and 3 x's. So I'm going to go ahead and start writing that. Let me zoom out. So the left side is 3x plus 3 equals 12. And then what I brought in was 3 negatives on the left, and so I had to bring in 3 negatives on the right. Then I have 0 there, and I have 3x equals 4. Okay, I'm so sorry, that's not 4. Let me try that again. 3x equals 9. Miss Mian really knows how to do math, I promise, okay? You can trust me. I'm so sorry. Now we're going to divide both sides by how many x's we have, so we can make equal groups out of these 9. So we have 3 x's, so we're going to make 3 equal groups out of these 9, and leaving us with 3 ones for every group. So your answer is x equals 3. So that's basically what you're doing for both everything else. So you have 5 problems to work out. I have 1 example made for you. I hope that helps. If you need more help, please reach out to us and we'd be happy to help you. Okay, thanks.